Occasionally, you will need to convert strings to numbers, meaning the number is received as a string, but you need it to be a number. This is a fairly simple process, and we have done it several times in this course already. But I also wanted to show a quick shortcut for doing this, because if you're not aware of it, the shortcut that is, and run into it, you may not understand what is going on. For that reason, I feel the shortcut is critical. So there are many ways to convert a string to a number. We can use the number constructor, we can use parseInt or parseFloat. Let's look at those really quick, then we'll take a look at the shortcut. And this is all simple enough, we can just do it here in the console. So I'm just going to declare two variables really quick. And these are going to be strings, numbers inside of a string. And this is how we sometimes receive that data. And so that's why we would need to convert it. So the first one is that, and then str2, we'll set that equal to, this will be a floating point number. There we go. Now, to do the conversion, as I mentioned, there's three ways we commonly see this done. There's parseInt, converts it to a number as we can see. parseFloat, that also converts it to a number. And then the number constructor right here, which also converts it to a number. So those work great. But let me just explain the differences before we look at the shortcut. So parseInt allows you, if you want, to include a second parameter here, a radix. If you need to work with numbers other than base 10 numbers, you're able to do that sort of conversion using parseInt. And so that would be a reason to use parseInt. Plus, parseInt and parseFloat both parse, where the number constructor, it does coercion. So there is a difference there. I'll show you what that difference is in just a minute. Now, parseFloat will return a decimal number. Now, I declared a decimal number up here. If I do parseInt with str2, basically we just get an integer. But if I do parseFloat with str2, I get that decimal number. And so that's what parseFloat can do over parseInt. Now, as I mentioned, the number constructor does type conversion. So where the others just do parsing, it's trying to coerce that to a number. So if a string can't be converted to a number, it returns NaN. And let me give you an example of that. I'm going to change our variable here and set it equal to 100 left. Say that's how we receive the data in a full string like that. Well, if I do parseInt, as you can see, it can strip off what is not a number and just return the number portion. As long as it starts with the number, it's able to do that. So it's parsing it, and parseFloat does the same thing. However, when we use the number constructor, this is what we get, NaN. It's not a number, so it can't convert it. Okay, now that's important to know, because the shortcut that I want to mention is simply just the plus operator. And it can be used to convert a number, and it does it very simply. But you have to remember that it tries to coerce that number similar to what the number constructor does. And so in the case of str, we would get NaN return. In that case, if you need to parse the string, then you need to use parseInt or parseFloat. But let's go ahead and take a look at the shortcut, because you sometimes run into this. So let's say I had a situation where I had a line like this. That is the shortcut. That's basically converting that to a number. So if I now look at the num variable, we can see that that is a number. It has been converted. But once again, if I do this with str, just like we did with the number constructor, we get NaN. So something you have to be aware of with that shortcut. Now, once again, the reason I included this is because if you run into this in some code, I know some JavaScript developers, they've seen that and they wonder, what is going on? They're not sure what's happening. Was something left off of the expression or whatnot? Basically, it's just a shortcut for converting a number, and that's how you do it. All right, let's move on.